Scarabs. Today we're celebrating everyone's favourite simpleton robots, the Canoptek Scarab. And maybe, if we've got time, something else too. First off, let's talk prices and how to get them. At the moment there's still a few options, but once GW is sold out of its current 9th edition starter sets, there'll be potentially only one way to get the humble Scarab. Unless the fabled fake combat patrol from the Codex becomes a reality, which it might do, as it's now had combat patrol rules all of its own. Other than those two options, you of course get them in the Scarab box, that also happens to come with 10 free warriors. What a bargain, but who wants warriors, eh? Some things to remember. At time of recording, 10th has just released, and amongst all the positives that 10th has brought, there's also a terrible injustice. The maximum Scarab squad size has gone down to 6 from 9. Ugh, sad. But we'll talk about that more later. For now, let's do some building. Now with the new squad sizes, I've only got one to make if I've done my maths right. So all the spares I got from the warrior kits will just be a big bag of plastic now, I guess. But hey, Scarabs are useful. We can definitely use them for conversions and the odd base if we want to get fancy. So with one to build, let's settle in for a grueling few hours of building. Now with this timer, we can see how long it'll take. And go! Stop! Oh, right. That was easy. Most models aren't that exciting at this stage, but not the Scarabs. Potentially the most versatile and resilient models ever. If you've got unpainted Scarabs, you've also got air hockey pucks, juggling balls, and you can play the hit game Stack the Scarab that you can play with friends or alone. Yay! And once you're bored of that, you can use them in the hit tabletop tactical battle game Warhammer 40,000. We've had far too much fun here. Prep steps. Stick 'em to a stick and give 'em a spray, after giving your spray can a good shake and a nice warm bath. Then, depending on how you base your army, you can glue whatever guff you like to the bases. And now, you're ready to paint. But before that, why don't we take a brief step back in time with a model retrospective? We're talking Scarabs, and so there's two eras to look at. First released roughly 1 million years ago. We've got the originals, a beautiful pair of metal Scarabs. These ones are from eBay, who I very creatively glued to a base, and then struggled to make my scheme work with them. They're really quite different from modern Necrons, with a much more steampunky, metallic, lots of joints style. And they've got 8 legs, so really they're spiders, with big wings. Winged robo-spiders. Nice. Now we move on to the early 2000s, with some much more familiar plastic Scarabs, not a million miles away from the modern ones. These were ones I had as a kid, who normally would live on little sticks, but I thought that was silly. What Scarab would live on a little stick? Ridiculous. So I snipped them all off, and then, putting some rocks in a line on a base, I superglued a whole bunch of them together into a big pile. Then, voila! They're quite a lot closer to the new ones, and in a big group they almost blend in, with their smooth back and the right number of legs, that being 6. One difference though, they all have this sticky out bit on their face. They're kind of like beaver teeth. It's fun. And now, for the mastronauts among you, might have noticed, we've only accounted for 16 so far, so these two bugs bring us up to the magic cap of 18 Scarabs. When you look at a Scarab, you probably think it'll be quick to paint. And you'd be right, but just don't be like me and do them in a batch of 13, making every step both unfun and unlucky. Now let's quickly go over the scheme. After a lead belcher base coat, we'll slap on some astrogranite with a little spatula thing. After waiting ages for that to dry, paint the base Mechanicus Standard Grey. Douse everything with Nuln Oil, again waiting for that to dry, and then dry brush the base with Corax White. A few thinned layers of everything now, starting with Incubi Darkness for the little back bits. Wash that green in Coelia Green shade. A quick Cyberate green dry brush. Then we Retributor Gold all their little faces. A wash of Agrax for the gold. And a very subtle Liberator Gold dry brush for those faces. And the only real annoying step, Corax White for both their eyes and the weird little power ball thing they've got. Abaddon Black for every little leg, Now you can clean up any of your little mistakes with Leadbelcher. And finally, Mechanicus Standard Grey the rim. And you're done. You're the proud owner of a painted bug. Whew! All that painting has given me a terrible hunger. But not for food, for knowledge. So why don't we go learn about our buggy buddies in Lore Corner? You're a Scarab. This one here. A nearly mindless Necron Canoptek construct. There's two things you love. One, breaking matter down into energy with your little mandibles. And two, giving that energy to your boss to make whatever Necron-y thing they want. But who is your boss? Well, basically everyone. But more specifically, Cryptex and Canoptek spiders. Maybe in the morning they'll tell you to munch the broken bits off the warriors, then using the energy to make new bits for them. Nice. Then in the afternoon, you'll be in a swarm of 1 million of your equally dim mates, where you're all pointed at a line of tanks and told to go to town. An all-you-can-eat buffet of metal and human bits. Then if you survive the battle, it's time for bed. Except it's not, as you don't sleep, and there's a lot more jobs to do. And after 3 pretty relaxed painting days, I'm left with these lads. Lovely. 18, the maximum number of Scarabs currently possible. 19, ugh, disgusting. 17, well, something's wrong because you're paying for 18. But this number, just right. They're great. Amazing little models. Swarm units just always have a way of standing out, especially in Necrons. But now we've got them, I wonder how they play in 10th. So let's find out by looking at their rules. To a simpleton like me, Scarabs are confusing. At first, they're seemingly simple, but the more I look at them, the more complicated they become. A datasheet with high highs and low lows. 4 wounds, that's good. 2 toughness, that's bad. 9-inch move, that's good. 0 OC, that's really bad. 40 points for 3 though, now that's good. But a max squad size of 6, that's bad. They each can explode, which is fun. Good. But a 6-up save, definitely bad. Fly? Is that good now? And leadership 8, I guess that's bad. But they've got 0 OC anyway, and I'm not using a strat on these little bugs. So, The Mortal Wound Bomb is really fun. Take a model off and roll a dice to do mortal wounds. Extra good against vehicles. But their -1 OC ability is kind of strange, because they've got 0, so you need to be next to something. Ugh. I'm a little confused. But what I'm not confused about is points. It's 3.3 points per wound. That's a bargain. 40 points for 3 Scarabs at 12 wounds. For something to compare, let's look at, I don't know, a Custard Man. This one's from the last video. This one Custodian is 45 points for 3 wounds. Ha! What a schmuck. Now, there may be some differences, stat-wise, but if we have a fight, we'll see who's better. So let's be nice and say Scarabs get the charge. Now, there's some admin, of course. Our Custode friend is going into a Dakatarai karate stance, gaining sustained hits 1, meaning now, on his own, he could have enough attacks to kill the whole squad. Scary. But it doesn't end there. He uses the Unwavering Sentinel strat, putting him in fight first, which as he's the defender, means he goes before us. Things are looking bad for our little bugs. But fear not. Bugs can handle sticky situations like this, and we can trigger self-destruct, removing 1 model and rolling a dice. Rolling not a 1, not a 1. Good. As now, we deal D3 mortal wounds. Ooh, the big 3. That'll teach you, Custard Boy. Oh, this Custard Boy does have a 4-up feel no pain to mortal wounds. So he takes... 2. Well, he's on 1 wound left. Well, maybe he's not going to kill them. Oh, yep, they're all dead. But this triggers our deadly demise. And if one of them gets a 6, that means he could be dead. Which, of course, he lives. But it was close. And the Scarabs were working at a 5-point deficit, so they're always going to lose. What have we learnt here? Now let's rate them. They look amazing. Possibly the easiest bit of Warhammer to build. Fun to paint too, if a little small. Their rules are both fun and strange. And surprisingly good simple lore, which is my favourite. So overall, an S. A strong S. For Scarab. What fun. There's still time showing on the video. That's because we've got time for some bonus models. And this time, it's the Plasmacyte. You heard it right, the Plasmacyte. The biggest change for all of 10th edition is, of course, the change that Plasmacytes are now no longer its own unit, which sounds like a downgrade, but in reality, the old Plasmacytes weren't very fun. You had to hope they'd keep up with advanced rolls, otherwise they'd just die in the middle of nowhere. And they had the chance to, for some reason, kill your own units, so that's not fun. But now, it's a free upgrade for any of the stabby destroyers, so Scorpex or Ophidians, which is cool. In fact, they don't have any rules at all. The models have turned into a magic category of model called tokens, or as I call them, goons, because they're basically just a proper model's little lackey. Like all goons, on the tabletop, they represent a certain ability that the model has, by hovering somewhere close to the unit and being removed when the ability is used up. In this case, you can use your Plasmacite to give a squad of Scorpex devastating wounds for one phase, which is amazing, which of course has perfect negative synergy with the Scorpec Lord's leadership lethal hits buff, which is funny. Now, because they're goons, we don't actually need to worry about the models themselves, as if we read the very fun 18-page clarification document with its tiny font and mixture of very simple and very complicated rules right next to each other, we see tokens, which don't really exist for any rules purposes, and so we can do kind of whatever we want with them, which is where this box comes in. I bought this thing in 9th, under the foolish assumption it would eventually have rules, which it never did in 9th, and now it doesn't in 10th either, so that's fun. But, at least, we can still use everything from the box. Technomancers are just good on their own, same with the Immortals / Deathmarks. I'll probably still build the Aprintech because he's fun, but what we're here for is Plasmacites. There's 2 in this box, and they look like this. So instead of using the same model 4 times, I'll use 2 of these. They do have 25mm bases instead of the 28 most Plasmacites are on, but I think that's okay, as on the tabletop, they don't really exist. And if needs be, we can put them on a 28mm instead, or an even bigger base if we wanted. Goon rules are like the Wild West, you can do whatever you want. I didn't realise how small they'd be. From pictures I thought they'd be regular Plasmacite size, but they're not, they're tiny. When I first saw Plasmacites, I thought they won't have much lore, and they don't. But, like Scarabs, what's there is really good. They're Canoptek, just like Scarabs, so are mindless constructs made by Necrons, with a simple job to carry out. The Plasmacite's job, and I'm quoting here, is to isolate and siphon corrupted engrams from sleepers within stasis crypts. So, if a sleeping Necron's tossing and turning having a bad dream, the Plasmacite drifts over and eats those nightmares right up, which on its own is quite a fun idea. But destroyers found out that they like these corrupted engrams, so they co-opt Plasmacites and get them to inject the bad stuff into them to make them somehow even angrier, which is really cool. But that's not much to learn, so why don't we do some important research and determine what goon's best in the official, not really, Games Workshop Warhammer 40,000 goon fight. I've scoured the GW site for goons, and I believe I've found maybe all of them, probably not, with a couple fake goons thrown in for fun. There's a lot to go through, so we'll go quick, but this is important work, so it might not be that quick. Round 1, Watcher in the Dark from Deathwing Knights versus one of the Bomb Squigs, both heavy hitters. But when I think goon, there's 2 I think of straight away, and Watchers in the Dark is one of them. Sorry Bomb Squig, Watchers win. Round 2, one of the Patriarch's little friends versus Mech Gun Grot Orderlies. 5 of them. The Orderlies are interesting, as they're the only goon to represent wounds for a unit. Wound goons, if you will. But GSC are really good at goons, and having 2 mini-me's running around with your Patriarch is cool. So, mini-me's win. Round 3. Votan Mole Mines versus Distraction Grot. Mole Mines may be the worst goon against what might be the best. Distraction Grot wins. Round 4 is an interesting one. 2 fake goons. The strange Eldar statues from the Rangers box. There's also a statue in the Dark Reapers box, so this is both of those. Versus the Krieg Medipack thing. Both come in the box, but for different reasons, both don't really work as goons. Krieg seemingly can't take them, and the statue just isn't mentioned. Of the 2, I'll take the Medipack, but I don't fancy its chances against a real goon. Round 5. It's our boy, the Humble Plasmacite, versus the Knobs Ammo Runt. As an army, Orcs are king of the goons. But this isn't the ammo runt bit of the video. Sorry, little guy. Plasmacite wins. Round 6. The newest goon, one of the Neurotyrant's tentacle friends, versus Cherubs. The other thing I first think of when I'm having my daily goon conversations. And of course, the Cherub wins. It might just win the whole thing. Round 7. Pain Boss Orderly versus Biophagous Orderly. 2 great goons, but only one has unicycle legs. So, sorry Bottle Boy, but Grot wins. Round 8. Two inanimate objects, but both real goons. GSC's Saboteur Bomb versus Tau DS8 turret thing. We're at the real dregs here, people. A couple weak goons. I mean, one's gotta win, but it's really hard to care. The turret, I guess, but good luck in the next round. The first quarterfinal. Watcher versus Mini Patriarch. Both great goons, but the Watcher's got mystery about it. What does it look like under the cloak? I don't know, but I do know it's the winner. Next quarterfinal. Oh, a real toughie here. Distraction Grot versus the fake goon Medipack. I can't even look at the Medipack. I'm too distracted by how great the Grot is. Plasmacite v Cherub. Oh right, like the main character's gonna lose the bracket. Well, it is. The Cherub's iconic. Also, the only goon to have representation in two armies, Sororitas and Space Marines. Which is good, I guess. Sorry, Plasmacite. I still think you're cool. Ooh, another easy one. Screw-armed Roly Grot versus a bin. Sorry, DS8. You're neither great nor good. Grot wins. The first semi-final. Watcher versus Distraction Grot. Both fun. One's iconic and mysterious. The other's got a grapple hook and a big schnoz. It's hard, but you've got to trust your instincts in a goon fight. And they tell me that Watcher's going to the final. Semis 2. Cherub versus Roly Grot. Come on, it's the Cherub. Creepy baby robot. Nothing describes 40k better than the nightmare that is a Cherub. Which leads us to the finals. Cherub versus Watcher. A battle for the ages. But there can only be one. Both goon perfection. But the big difference. Looks. Watchers are little buddies in robes. And Cherubs are creepy baby monsters. So, sorry Cherubs. Watcher in the dark is the king of the goons. Thanks. A lot more goon talk than I imagined a Scarab video would have, but hey-ho. Now, as a strange tradition, I put something on the wall for each video I do, but for this I couldn't really think of anything good, so why not a useful colour wheel off Amazon? Thanks for watching.